So, what's going on, people? It's your boy, Kid from Brooklyn. I'm doing another video for you guys. This one is not about acting, though. This one is about another one of my favorite subjects, and that just happens to be Japan. Yes, I'm starting a new series of videos. These videos are going to be called Japan Be Like. Japan Be Like. That's the name of the video. I'm going to be doing a series of videos on Japan, different topics, the geography, the weather, the food, the culture, the people, relationships, sex, music, drugs, teaching English. I'm going to talk about a lot of different things. I lived in Japan for 10 years. I've watched dozens, literally dozens, maybe more than dozens of videos from other cats doing their take on what it's like to live in Japan, or what it's like to have lived in Japan, or maybe some variation of that. And I really enjoy those videos. I learn a lot from those videos. Shout out to my man Renzo, Black Experience Japan. He's probably doing it the best, that I would say. So shout out to Renzo. Mark Campbell, Mark's Mind. Shout out my man Mark. A couple other scattered videos here and there that I watch about Japan that are really, really good. I really enjoy. And I learned so much from them. And me, myself, having lived in Japan for 10 years, I decided, why not just throw my hat in the ring and do my version of what it's like to live in Japan, what life is like there across the board. And especially since I wrote a book about it. I wrote this book. Can you see the book okay? Is it good in the light? Yes. I wrote this book. It is called The Eternal Outsider, 10 Years Black in Japan. And that is a silhouette of me, a jaded memoir. And that is me, your boy, Trevor David Houchin, a kid from Brooklyn. I am Trevor David Houchin, a kid from Brooklyn. And I wrote this book. And you can see this is the poster of the book. As I said, I wrote this book. I published it in 2017. It's on Amazon. Maybe I'll try to leave a link in the description. I hear everybody say that on their YouTube videos, but I'm new at this, so I don't really quite know how to put a link in the description yet, but I'm going to learn. So hopefully there'll be a link in the description, and you'll be able to buy my book, The Eternal Outsider, 10 Years Black in Japan. As I said, published the book in 2017. Took me about 5 years to write the book. Came back from Japan in 2013. I started writing the book literally the night I arrived at LAX, Los Angeles, Tom Bradley, in LA. I got to my friend Gerald's house. He was out in La Cañada, Flint Ridge. Shout out G, shout out G, shout out Zen, shout out La Cañada. Yeah, he was out in La Cañada. I stayed with him for my first 2 months. And the very first night that I got to his place, I sat down with just, some paper and a pen and just started writing out some notes, like some experiences that stood out to me. Hold on for 1 second. I got tea boiling. You can't hear it. I can hear it. Give me 5 seconds. This is probably a major no-no in this industry. This whole vlogging thing, but I don't want this water to boil over. I should have turned it off before I started this, but I didn't. So sorry. I'm back. Yeah. So I got my tea. See, just so you know, I wasn't lying. And it's also got my book. It's a nice teacup. It's got my book on it. You can see the cover of the book. So I forgot what I was talking about exactly. Anyway, I decided to start writing down some notes, and little by little, I got more and more pages of notes until finally, I got so many notes that it just dawned on me, hey, Trevor, this is a book. This is about your experience in Japan. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote 5 years, like I said, and turned it into a book, published it, got really great reviews. You can see those reviews on Amazon. And as I said, I'm going to try to publish the link in the description. We'll see if we can make that happen. So yeah, that's what's up. I wrote a book about my experience in Japan. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that experience in Japan. Like I said, I was what's the word? Prompted, I guess is a good word, to do this after watching dozens and dozens of other cats talk about their experience in Japan. And I learned a lot. So I figured I would throw my hat into the ring and talk about my experience in Japan. So let's get started. Like kind of at the beginning. But even before we go to my personal beginning, there's some stuff that I want to say about people who go to Japan, travelers in general. People who leave their country and travel to other countries. People sort of worship or idolize, or people really, really love the idea of travel. Travel's got like this magic allure to it. Going to a different place, seeing different sights, different sounds, different tastes and stuff like that. It's got a great allure to it. So, people in general, like the idea of travel. But the experience I'm going to talk about goes beyond travel. It goes to living in another country, like, leaving your country, leaving everything and beginning a whole new life in another country. And that's very different than just travel. So that's what my blog, vlog, whatever this is about. It's about going to Japan and living there, and sort of ancillary to that, I suppose, like giving up your own culture, and everything that and everything that you've learned, kind of not everything, but a lot of things that you think you've learned, which is pretty much the point. You give up a lot of things you think you arrive in this different place, and you've got this long list of beliefs, ideas, assumptions, rituals, traditions, identities. You've got this long supermarket grocery list of things that you've acquired that are part of your identity, that in most of them, you're not even aware they're part of your identity. They just are. And when you go and you live in another, travel does do it. But when you go and live in another country, all of these things that you are both aware of and not aware of about yourself, and that you have assumed are normal in life, you are confronted with the reality that, hey, what you think is normal and what you think is right and what you just think isn't on another part of the planet. And that freaks your mind out. Living in another country, one as different than America or whatever your country is, one as different as Japan is from America, is like going to another planet. It's like going to another planet. Almost nothing is the same. Of course, the human the human animal being what it is, its biology is essentially the same all around the world. They eat, they shit, they fuck. Everybody does that all around the world. But pretty much everything else is completely different. So if you are not the kind of person that can deal with drastic change, like overnight drastic change that you've got to get adjusted to really quick, moving to any other country is probably not the best idea in the world for you. And moving to Japan is almost definitely not for a person who doesn't have a flexible personality or a flexible sense of themselves. Like if you're one of these people who says things like, I am who I am, take me as I am, what you see is what you get. I am who I am. I'm not going to change. I ain't changing for nobody. I am who I am. If you're one of these kinds of people, Japan is definitely not the country for you. You're going to find yourself in a whole lot of situations where you're not going to win, first of all, because you're in another country. You have to play by their rules. And that's that's the thing. There's a whole new set of rules. And by rules, I don't just mean laws, but there are a whole new set of laws. Some basics are obvious all over the world. You can't murder people. You can't rob a bank. You can't, poison your boss. Certain things, you can't steal. Certain things are essentially illegal all over the world. But there are other different laws in Japan, for example, that, don't quite exist here. I'm trying to think of an example, and the best one that I can come up with right now, it's cheap and it might not be so true. Jaywalking in Japan is a big no-no. It's illegal, and it's not done really. Like if you watch these videos of Tokyo, Shibuya, the big crossing thing, those Japanese people are waiting, and then when those lights change, they cross. So simple things like that. I could have come up with a better example, but I put myself on the spot and I couldn't actually come up with a better example. So I'll try to do better moving forward. But if you're not the kind of person that is open-minded enough and flexible within your personality and flexible within your definition of who you think you are and what you think is right in the universe, if you're flexible enough to allow yourself to sort of, give up what you think to learn something new, then that's a good thing. But like I said, if you're one of these people that's like, I ain't changing for nobody, I am who I am, living in Japan might not be for you. Obviously, if you've got like, special interest in Japan, for example, anime is world famous. There's a case to be made that anime put Japan on the map for millions of people around the world. Millions, could be hundreds of millions. Anime is ridiculously popular in every country in the world, in every corner of the world, and it's a Japanese art, and millions of people, I'm sure, have had their brains like clicked on about Japan because of anime. So if you are one of those people, who loves anime, manga, if you love Japanese food, if these cultural artifacts, whatever, of Japan are to your liking, then obviously Japan might be a place for you because you've already kind of got your mind geared towards Japan. Probably part of your mind is living in Japan already. So it's just a matter of you getting on an airplane and going to Japan. So yeah, if you're heavy into Japan, go to Japan. If you're the kind of person, like one of the things that sent me to Japan, one of the things that I was unconsciously vibrating at the time when I was living in Los Angeles, right before I went to Japan, I was kind of unconsciously vibrating, or it was just coming into my consciousness. Some of the values that I found myself wanting to be around, but not being able to find. And one of those values was modesty and humility. Two of those values, modesty and humility. I'm living in LA at the time. I'm pursuing an acting career, not the most modest or humble of all professions, but I felt like I was pursuing it with modesty and humility. But you cannot pursue an acting career with modesty and humility. The two are diametrically opposed. But that's what I was doing in LA. And it was kind of working, but I was fighting against myself, because here I was in this industry that values anything but modesty and humility, trying to make a go of it, while at the same time looking around for modesty and humility. And modesty and humility they're not American. They're not values that Americans value. Those are not, if you ask an American, your average American, hey, give me 10 adjectives to describe what you think are important personality characteristics of a great American, modesty and humility are not going to be on that list. And that's just what it is. It's not negative. It's not positive. That's just what it is. It's truth. That's just the truth. Americans don't value modesty and humility. But for whatever reason, at that time, I was looking for modesty and humility. So the correlation is modesty and humility are values that Japanese place high on their list of human characteristics in order to harmonize into their society. Modesty and humility. If you're the kind of person who, doesn't mind being modest yourself, and also doesn't mind modesty from other people, because Japanese people are extremely modest. I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. Japanese people are extremely modest. Humble. I'd like to say Japanese people are humble too, compared to Americans, definitely. And I appreciate those values. And Japanese embody those values. They cultivate those values. They don't just come naturally. They cultivate modesty and humility. And I, for one, love that. So if you like being surrounded by that, Japan is a good place for you. If you like cleanliness, if cleanliness is really important to you, everywhere. The streets, the restaurants, the subways, the alleys. Everywhere. Wow, I'm getting people listening. That's interesting. You can see me right now. I thought I was just kind of recording for myself. Wow, there are people there. Interesting. Okay, cool. Radical Panda, what's up? Hey, yeah, man. Cool. I appreciate you watching. I don't know how you found me. If you know any other people who are interested in Japan, let me know. And Radical Panda, tell me where you're from. You said modesty doesn't exist in African countries. Yeah, modesty doesn't exist in America either, but it does exist to a very high degree in Japan. And it's one of the qualities of humankind that I really placed high on my list of values. So if you're one of those people too, and you appreciate modesty and humility, Japan is a place for you. And I was also saying, Cleanliness, extreme cleanliness. If you like for everywhere to be clean, Japan is for you if that's important to you. If quiet, if silence is important to you, and even more so, let me say something else. Japanese take silence very seriously. Okay, that's another thing that's completely different than America. Americans don't think about silence ever. It's just, this is another thing that's really important to me. I don't know why. But I like quiet. I like silence. And Japan is a very, very quiet country. Super, super quiet country. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later, more specifically. Japan is a quiet country, but there are different sounds in Japan than what we're used to here in America. For example, just really quickly, the stoplights in Japan have a little voice that tells you when it's okay to cross the street and when it's not okay to cross the street. And I don't remember what it says in Japanese, but it's saying, you can cross now. Please don't cross now. And there are these voices. You hear voices like that all over Japan, the urban areas anyway. The countryside, obviously, you don't. But you hear these little voices in Japanese all over the place. And that was definitely new for me. So if you're a person that likes quiet, then you'll like Japan. If you're a person for whom polite manners and etiquette are important, you'll love Japan. Once again, like silence and like harmony and modesty, Japan have taken polite manners and proper etiquette to its extreme. The Japanese way of, greeting and saying hello, saying goodbye, acknowledging one another. The Japanese way of doing these things is light years ahead of anything that we have here in America. Well, I don't know if I want to say light years ahead. I want to say that they have refined the art of being polite to a very sharp degree, but that politeness is very much only surface level. And this is something that you learn when you've lived in Japan for quite a while. If you just go and visit, you'll be astounded at their politeness, astounded at their service. Their service is incredible. Their service is not warm and friendly. And this is another very important. I'm writing this down. This is super important. Japanese people are not warm, friendly people. That's the fact. Good. I'm saying it's neither good nor bad. You decide what it is for you. You decide what it is for you. I'm just saying what it is. Japanese people are not warm, friendly people. They will likely never touch you. Never hold out their hand to put it on your shoulder or shake hands, hugging. Japanese people are the worst huggers in the world. Okay? Japanese people are the worst huggers in the world. Again, is that a judgment? I guess it is a judgment. Japanese people are the worst huggers in the world. They don't know how to hug. They don't know how to hug. Neither the men, the women, the old ones, the young ones, they don't know how to hug. And when you try to hug them, they don't know what is going on. They have, you want to fry a Japanese person's, circuits, hug them. It is not an affectionate country. It is not an affectionate country. It is not an open country. It is not, Japanese people are not upbeat, gregarious, talkative, friendly, warm, receptive people. They're not. And this can be a huge culture shock when you come from a country where people are open and, expressive and talkative and warm and friendly and, huggy and feely and touchy and kissy and, curious, how you doing? How you feeling? How you feel? You good? You feeling good? What's up? How you doing this week? How was this weekend? Like how we do in America. How you feeling, man? You good? You good? How you doing? Really? Nah, I'm not doing too well. Really? What's wrong? Oh man, I'm going through some financial problems. Oh word, yeah. What else is going on? Oh, I got some family issues, man. Some things going on. Like how we talk in America. We just talk like that. We Americans are, on world standards, extremely open with our private, personal goings on, including ourselves, our state of health, our state of finance, our state of family affairs, our state of love affairs, our state of, Americans. You can go to a supermarket here in America. You can be online waiting to check out or whatever, and the person in front of you will say something. Within 5 minutes, you're telling him all about your alcoholic brother, your aunt that's on, addicted to opioids, your sex addiction, your asshole husband, or, within 5 minutes, this is how Americans get down. Japanese, and most places in the world, but in particular Japanese, that would never, ever happen. They don't get down like that. They have a very strict and small box of public presentation skills that they choose from, but they have refined that box so much so that it appears to be this expression of super polite, but it isn't actually. It is just a set of rules for human engagement that they are following in. That's what the bow is. It's just a rule. There's no emotion in it. There's no expression of how you feel. There's none of that. It's just, I acknowledge your presence. You acknowledge my presence. That's kind of it. And that's what they do. So if you are a person that needs warm and friendly, touchy-feely, affectionate expression, express your true self. If you want other people expressing their true selves to you, and that's not going to happen in Japan. And eventually, the foreigners who live in Japan become that exact same way. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. You acclimate yourself in so many ways, both subtle and not so subtle, both conscious and weirdly unconsciously. You change yourself to fit into their society according to their rules. You take on their values. Some of them you take them on knowingly because you notice that they're better than the values that you were brought up with. And other values just kind of seep into you through you copying their behavior and doing what they do until there's this being inside of you that you've given birth to that is becoming you from the inside out. If you are not willing to go through that metamorphosis, don't plan to move to Japan. You're going to change. It's going to change you, and drastically. You know, I wrote down a list of certain specific things that are different, completely different, that if you're not willing to deal with these things that are different, you probably shouldn't think about going to move there. I didn't want this to turn into, you know, why you shouldn't move to Japan. I'm just, you know, this is a perspective I've never seen in any of the videos that I've talked about. You know, if I had seen a video like this before I went to Japan, maybe I would have thought twice about it, but maybe not. But anyway, some of the things that are totally different there than wherever you're from, but very different than here in America. The time zone. I think Japan is 16, 17, 15 hours ahead, depending on where you are in America. That's very, very different. Right now in Japan, it's tomorrow. It's freaky, man. It's weird. It's definitely different. Okay, the time zone. The size of things in Japan, everything is smaller. Apartments, cars, roads, buildings, trucks, your bathroom, your bed. You're not going to have a king-size bed in Japan. Likely, you might not even have a bed. More likely, you're going to be sleeping on a futon on the floor. That's Japanese tradition. That's Japanese tradition. It's normal. I slept on a futon 10 years on tatami mats on the floor in Japan. Everything is smaller. Everything, your bathtub, the kitchen sink, you know, everything is smaller, and it's different. It's different. The food, obviously, is completely different. I think most people aren't prepared, don't understand, you know, even people who love Japanese food, I guess people who love Japanese food though, they're in heaven. Those people are in heaven because it's one of the things Japanese people love about being being Japanese is their food. Gohan, their food. Tabemono, their food. They love their food, and it's everywhere. In Tokyo, in the bigger cities, Tokyo, Osaka, Yokohama, Nagoya, there are American fast food restaurants. You know, Burger King, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, McDonald's. You know, there in the bigger cities, there are definitely American fast food restaurants. There's all kinds of American restaurants in Tokyo. There weren't that many in Nagoya. The restaurants I just named were in Nagoya. We also had an Outback, maybe a few other American restaurants, but the vast majority of the food situation in Japan is Japanese. When I first got to Japan, I didn't know that. I was unprepared for that. I was essentially a vegetarian in LA before I got to Japan. And it's not that easy to be a vegetarian in Japan. It's not the norm. It's not the norm. Japanese eat pork a lot. I don't eat pork at all. I haven't eaten pork for 30 years, 33 years, 35 years. So I definitely don't eat pork. I gave up red meat, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I'll have the occasional hamburger though. I'm not like hardcore. I'm not saying I'm some kind of hardcore dude like that. Like I was in LA, 6 weeks ago and I went to Fat Burger like 5 times. Shout out Fat Burger. I'm not mad. But essentially, I don't eat that much red meat. Like, those last 5 fat burgers I had in LA, 6 weeks ago, whatever, was the last red meat I've eaten. Essentially, I eat fish and vegetables. I don't eat chicken. I think birds are stupid. So I don't eat chicken. I don't want to be stupid. But Japanese they don't have the vegetarian culture like we have here in America. So that was tough for me. So when I got to Japan, I didn't know what to eat. So somebody introduced me. They've got vending machines. Okay. They've got vending machines where you can buy soup, all kinds of stuff. Somebody introduced me to unagi, which is eel, because I eat fish. And I was like, tuna fish? I think I remember asking somebody, tuna fish? And he said, oh, unagi. Yeah, man, unagi. And he was like, the dude pointed me to the machine. I put in, ropyaku yen. Ropyaku, 680 yen. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't want to play myself. See, I wasn't going to speak any Japanese on this because my Japanese is fucked. Having been back in America now for almost 8 years, which is unbelievable. Even though I do have a Japanese wife. Yes, I do have a Japanese wife. We'll get into that later on in the blog. And I speak Japanese to her when she's around. She's not around right now. She's in Japan, as a matter of fact, visiting a family. Hey, babe, I hope you're doing okay. I don't know if you're ever going to see this, but I hope you're doing okay in Japan. I hope your family's okay. Tell Okasan. See, I didn't want to do this. Tell Okasan I said hello. And Otosan and your sister and anybody. Anyway, yeah, I got introduced to unagi and I ate unagi from this machine for my first 3 months there. Like pretty much, and onigiri. I won't lie. I ate onigiri because I went to the convenience stores and onigiri is there, the rice is there, the rice balls, and they've got different flavors, salmon, tuna. They've got this one with eggs. They've got this one with, I don't remember. So many different flavors in Japan. And that's one of the great things to me it's one of my favorite things about Japan was, first of all, their convenience stores are much better than ours. Just offer a better product. The store itself is not better. Okay. It's just a store. I'm not saying it's futuristic. It's fancy. No. The store it looks like a convenience store, but the products on the shelves, there's a better selection of products on the shelves. Not everything in Japanese convenience stores are designed to kill you like ours. Like you go into 7-Eleven or a Circle K or something like that, all the food there is designed to kill you. But it's not that case. That's not the case in Japan. And I used to eat, like I said, my first 3 months there, I survived on onigiri, unagi. What else did I like? Miso soup. What else did I eat when I was first there? Okay, so yeah. So first 3 months, those were basically the only foods I ate. Coming from Los Angeles, where every food in the world is, within a few miles. The best selection of that variety of food is within a few miles. To come to Nagoya, where the food selection was suddenly so much smaller, that is a drastic change to your life overnight. Are you able to deal with that? I know for me in particular, Food is super important. I do not have a very strong stomach. I can't just eat anything. I will never, this might sound terrible, but hey, I'm putting myself on blast. And knock on wood, things change, right? But my feeling at this point is I will never visit India. No disrespect to my Indian people. I've got Indians in my family. No disrespect to my friends. Viva Swan. No disrespect to my Indian community. I've got no disrespect to you, but I can't. The idea of going to India and getting some parasite or something in my stomach as a result of the water or things I've heard terrifies me. So I will never do that. I will also probably never go to China for similar reasons. But Japan is not a place that you've got to worry about that kind of thing. Japan's food pretty much across the board is fresh, healthy, much less salt, much less sugar. Some people might say Japanese food, a lot of Japanese food tastes bland. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but that's true. By American standards, Japanese food, I could see how people might think it tastes bland because it doesn't have the huge, pound of sugar, salt, and all these different spices that, I guess add taste, but obscure the real thing that you're eating. But food is extremely different in Japan. Friendships are different in Japan. If you're very super close to your friends, you need to hang out with your friends and or your family on a daily basis or a weekly basis. If you need to congregate and socialize with your people all the time, or if that's what you're used to, or if that's what you base your life around, you need people. You need your people, your friends, that social life, that, the people who make you comfortable, you've known for a long time. You're not going to get that in Japan. In fact, you're going to probably get the opposite, which is an extreme case of loneliness. This is something that I don't think I've heard a lot of people talk about with regard to Japan. Japan can be an extremely lonely country, extremely lonely country. For some of the reasons I've mentioned earlier, it's very quiet. Japanese people don't talk that much. They don't talk that much. There's not much talking going on. Not much small talk, not a lot of how are you doing, going in depth about things. There's not a lot of talking. It's quiet. Japanese are skeptical of foreigners. Now, this is an important point. I did not say that they don't like foreigners, which I've heard. I've heard that in different blogs. I don't agree with that. I've heard that they're afraid of foreigners. I don't agree with that either. I don't think that that's true either. I've heard that just recently, I heard one dude say he thinks that Japanese people think foreigners are disgusting and dirty and have diseases. I don't think that either. I think Japanese people are skeptical of foreigners. And I myself am skeptical of things that I'm unfamiliar with, people included. I think it's a simple observation to say that Japanese people are skeptical of foreigners. So once again, if you are not comfortable with people being skeptical of you and not being all embracing of you right off the bat for whoever you think you are or whatever you think you are, whatever special greatness you think is you, if you're not prepared for people to be skeptical of you, then, if you're planning to go to Japan, you should think about that. You should think about that. You should think about that because Japanese people are skeptical by nature. They're skeptical. So yeah, you're not going to, your friendships, if you live in Japan 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, your friendships in Japan are going to be different than your friendships here. Your friendships with the other foreigners there are going to be different based on the fact that neither one of you knows if you're going to be there forever. Not only that, neither one of you knows the true history of where you came from. So the foreigners you meet in Japan, your friendships with them are going to be skeptical. You're going to be skeptical of them and they're going to be skeptical of you. You're going to be looking at them like, fuck is this nigga doing here in Japan? How the fuck did this nigga get here? Look at this nigga. And he's going to be looking at you like, when did this nigga come here? Look at this motherfucker talking about all this shit he used to do. Oh, no, I'm saying, right? Yeah. This lying ass nigga. So friendships, I'm trying to be funny. Friendships in Japan with foreigners, skeptical. Then you're not going to make many, if any, deep friendships with Japanese either, because they're going to be eternally skeptical of you because you're an outsider. You're a foreigner. So they're going to be skeptical of you forever, no matter how long you live in Japan, no matter how long you tell a Japanese person you've lived there. You could say you've lived there 50 years. This Japanese person is still going to give you sort of a Japanese side eye. That's why I called my book The Eternal Outsider, because as a foreigner in Japan, you are the eternal outsider. You will never be inside. No matter how much Japanese you learn, no matter how many Japanese women you date, sleep with, no matter how much Japanese yen you make, no matter how much Japanese food you cook, no matter how much Japanese history you learn, you'll never be Japanese. That's just it. And this is something that you have to accept going in to Japan. You just have to accept that. I'm telling you right now, if you've never heard that, take it from me. I am the eternal outsider. Take it from me. I lived in Japan 10 years. You will never, ever be accepted in Japan as a Japanese simply because you're not Japanese. It's simple. So don't go there expecting that. I know lots of foreigners, lots of dudes who lived there 20 plus years, speak the language inside and out better than Japanese, write the language, know all the kanji, all the katakana, all the hiragana, know the whole history, but they're still just gaijin. And many of them are insane because they've done this they've tried to do this inner metamorphosis of turning themselves into a Japanese, but on the outside, they're still a fucking foreigner. When a Japanese sees them, a Japanese sees a foreigner and reacts the exact same way to this foreigner with 20 years of experience in his country as he would to this guy that just got off the plane yesterday. They're the same, essentially. And this drives some longtime foreigners literally insane. I know more than a handful of them. They might one day see this video, and I'm not going to say any names, but I know. I can name two guys I know who are categorically insane, living in Nagoya, pretending to be normal and moving amongst the normal. But these guys are insane. I know two right off the bat. I can come up with three in another 5 minutes if you give me a little bit to think. Nope, I just came up with a third. I just came up with a fourth. Okay, I just came up with a fifth. All right, I know 5 guys in Nagoya, and these guys are high profile guys. These guys are high profile guys in Nagoya doing very well, who are categorically insane, narcissistic beyond the point of even, reality, angry, bitter, delusional, depressed, empty, because, in my opinion, they spent a lot of time trying to become Japanese, but you can't do it. So, I want to say if you're going there thinking of, becoming Japanese, you can get Japanese citizenship. You have to renounce the citizenship from your own country, change your name. You have to change your name to a Japanese name, to the Japanese version of your name, or to a Japanese name. And then you can become a Japanese citizen, but that doesn't mean that you're Japanese. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, guys, in a few minutes. So this introductory video seemed to be about the types of people, in my opinion, who do well in Japan, as opposed to, types of people who would be very challenged in Japan based on its culture and its values and what have you. And I'm going to give a quick rundown of those again. So these are the kinds of people that I think would do well in Japan. People who are wanderers by nature. People who are Japanophiles by nature. You like manga, you like anime, you like Japanese food, what else? Whatever. You like Japanese music. People who are curious. People who have a flexible and not quite so defined personality and sense of self. People who are like a little bit amorphous in terms of their personality. People who like cleanliness, extreme cleanliness. People who like quiet. People who like polite, mannerly, and high etiquette people. People who like schedules. Okay, people who like to be punctual, people who like to be on time. If you're the kind of person who likes to be on time and you like everyone else around you to be on time, Japan is for you. The people of Japan are, if nothing, did I cut myself? I don't think so. The people of Japan are, if nothing else, incredibly punctual. So if you're the kind of person that likes things to be on time, you'll love Japan. If you like silence, I think I said that. If you like Japanese food, I think I said that. So if you're one of those people, I think Japan is for you. However, if you are a person who is kind of like, and I am who I am, take me for what I am, what you see is what you get, I ain't changing for nobody kind of person, life in Japan for you is going to be one major challenge after another. And after a while, those challenges get to be tiresome when all you want to do is eat, sleep, shit, and fuck. If you're the kind of person who is loud, if you're a really loud person and you're used to other people being loud, the shock of no one ever yells down the street in Japan. Hey, John! Yo, John, come here, man. Yo, John, check this out. Hey, yo, John! That's what I grew up with in New York. That's what I'm used to. That never happens in Japan anywhere. Never, nowhere. So if you're loud and you like loud, you're not going to find that in Japan. If you're kind of rude, if you're rude and obnoxious and you just gotta, you got a lot with you, you know what I'm saying? If you got a lot with you, just a lot, I can't, people got a lot going on with themselves, talking real fast, or I don't know, being real loud and bug-eyed or real animated or something, if you just, wild like that, tone it down before you get to Japan. They're not into being noticed. And when they notice other people, because this other person is doing something flamboyant, obnoxious, too rude, too loud, it devalues you in their eyes and in their society. So harmony is probably the highest value in Japanese society, in my opinion. Harmony. And if you're not harmonizing by being loud, obnoxious, stubborn, rude, profane, if this is who you are and this is what, your identity, and you're going to hold on to that identity no matter what, you're going to be fighting for your life in Japan. And they will shun you in ways that will make your life hell, that will bring you close to suicide. Add that to the loneliness. Japan isn't for everybody. Living there isn't for everybody. And I didn't expect this to go as long. This goes a lot faster than I expected or thought it would. But shout out everybody for watching. Shout you out for watching. Like I said, I'm going to try to do a series of these. I don't know how often. I'd like to do them every day. I'd like to, kind of discipline myself to do one every day. Try to keep them all to right about an hour. I know that is a long time. I intended this to be 20 minutes. So I intended them to be little 20-minute blocks. But I don't know. I'll try to make them shorter from now on. I just wanted to give an idea of personality types and expectations before going to Japan, before making the decision to move to Japan, based on my experience having lived in Japan, in the heart of Japan, for 10 years. I know a lot of people love Japan. I myself absolutely love Japan. I don't consider myself a Japanophile, though. I'm not big on sushi. I don't watch anime. I don't read manga. I can speak Japanese, not fluently. I am not pera pera. Demo, Nihongo shaberimasu yo. Chotto, ne? Chotto dake. Watashi no namae wa David desu. America kara kimashita. I don't want to tell you how old I am. What else can I say? Watashi no kodomo Nihon ni sundemasu. I don't want to tell you my kid's name. Like, if you speak Japanese, you know the little bit that I'm saying. Kodomo wa 14 歳 musuko 12 歳 musume. 私は今は離婚した。でも今新しい日本の奥さんがある。Doing my best. What else? I guess that's it, guys. What else? I'm trying to think of something else to say in Japanese really easily, simply. 今、私と奥さん、アトランタ住んでます。今は4年、アトランタ住んでます。I know I'm fucking up with these tenses, but 私は英語の先生です。と、今は俳優です。頑張ります。That's it, guys. This is your boy, a kid from Brooklyn. I'm going to be doing this series, Japan Be Like. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you watch it. I hope you share it. I hope you subscribe to my channel down below, wherever it is. Subscribe to the channel, click like, share it, do all that stuff. I'm also an actor, as you guys know. So, like I said, I published this book. I'm going to try to put the link in the description, but this is the name of my book, The Eternal Outsider. It's about 500 pages, guys. It's a real book about my experience living in Japan, Nagoya, Japan, for 10 years. Guys, I'll talk to you another time. Peace.